Hello everyone. In this video we'll be tackling the first and most vital language when it comes to web development, which is HTML. An HTML file is what is read by the browser and directly displayed to the user. Text, images, forms, all of those are part of an HTML document. As we said previously, those are defined using tags. We'll see shortly how to create those. An HTML file is made up of plain text. In essence, it's simply a text file with the HTML extension. For example, you can go to your desktop and right-click to create a new text file. You have the new option here and then text document. Then once you have this, you can rename your document. Say for example test, and then whatever's after the period will be changed to HTML. Then you confirm the change and this gives you your web page. So this is one of the ways to create a web page from scratch. It can be edited either with a text editor like Notepad or preferably with a code editor, which is going to highlight different keywords in the code. A good and simple editor to use for HTML and other web languages is Notepad++. This is what I'll be using in these demonstrations. One thing to note is that by default Windows is not going to display the file extensions like this. So in order to do what I just did, you need to open My PC with this icon here, and then you switch to the Display tab, which is going to have a checkbox saying File Extensions. You need to make sure that this is checked, and this will allow you to change file extensions from TXT to HTML. You see here, if I uncheck it, disappears, so it needs to be checked. I would recommend installing Notepad++ to follow along with this course. To do so, you can go to notepad++.org and open the download section. Click the most recent release, which is on top, then click download. Once the download is finished, you can click on the installer and follow the steps to set up Notepad++ on your computer. Choose your language, click OK. This is giving me a warning because it's already installed on my computer. And then you just click next until you're finished. Once this is done, you should see a new shortcut on your desktop, which you can use to open the editor. You also have it in your start menu. You can start typing Notepad and then you'll see it in your list. So go ahead and open it by double clicking the icon. The reason why my editor might look different than yours is because I switched to a dark theme, which I think will be more readable on video. If you want to try out different themes, you can click on parameters, and then style configurator should be the second option. And from there you have a list of themes which you can experiment with. Once you found the one that you want to use, you can click save and close. We start with a new empty file. Let's set the language to HTML by clicking the language menu and then H for HTML. This will allow the editor to highlight the right things as we write our code. You can also save the file in the folder of your choice by clicking File, Save As. In this case, I'll save it on the desktop directly. I already have my test.html. Since it's already saved, all we have to do once the file is modified is either File Save or Control S, which is going to update the file. First, let's start off with a very simple HTML page which defines a paragraph. You can see the tags here. P stands for paragraph. Most elements have sets of tags, an opening one and a closing one preceded by a slash. Save your file, browse to it, and double click on it. This should open it in your default web browser. This is the result in the browser. Now, if we add a second paragraph and refresh the page, we just copied and pasted the paragraph and added a second one. If we go back to the browser and click refresh, now we see that we now have two paragraphs with a gap in between. Note that everything from the font size and color, the size of the gap between paragraphs, these are the default values that are determined by the web browser. In a later lesson, we will see how we can customize those using CSS. However, for now, we will be focusing on what can be done with HTML. For the sake of simplicity, we built a document that contained only paragraphs. However, a well-constructed HTML document will have sections, namely head and body. The head contains information such as the page's title, and the body is the content of the actual web page. There's also a tag that we use systematically, doctype HTML, to indicate to the browser that this is an HTML document. To make your work easier, you can type out the different sections and save this as a template to be used for every new page. Let's now add a title to the page and see what happens. This is done by using a set of tabs called title, which is placed inside the head section. So first of all, you type your tags, and then you can type your actual title in between. Once you're done, press Ctrl S to save your changes. Then you can go back to the browser. Now what we see here is, if we don't specify a title, what we see on the tab is the file name. So if you refresh, you will see that we have now the new title, HTML lesson 1. We will keep it at that for the head section and look at some of the other elements we can create using HTML. Other than paragraphs, we can create headers using H tags. H1 means a first level header, the biggest one. H2 means second level, a bit smaller, and so on until H6. Those can basically be used for titles and subtitles on your web page. Let's see what different headers look like in the browser. You can see here I created two different levels of headers, and if we refresh the browser, we can see the result. Next, we have tags that modify text style. For example, B for bold text. Just a tip, if you press F5, this also refreshes the browser. So this might be quicker than clicking the refresh button. Now we can see the bold text. There's also I for italics. You can see it here. And there's also strong for emphasized text. There you go. Note that there's a lot more tags than what we're seeing here. However, this is meant as a quick lesson. You're encouraged to research and learn about other tags in order to get the full picture. Next, what we can do is to insert an image. This is done using img, which is one of the few tags that don't have a closing part. To define the image's location, we use the src attribute. In this case, I have a PNG file that I saved on my desktop. Since my HTML file is also in the same location. All I have to do is to enter the file name. Another attribute that should be used is alt, which indicates what text should be put in place of the image in the event that it can't be displayed. Now let's see the result in the browser. If we save our HTML and refresh the browser, now we can see that the image is displaying. Examples of other attributes are width and height. So for example, we set a width of 600 and a height of 350. Now if we refresh the browser, we can see the new dimensions, 600 pixels wide by 350 high. It's worth noting also that we can specify sizes in percentages instead of pixels. So for example, if we want the image to span half of the screen's width, we would indicate 60%, 50%. This way, if we resize the navigator, we can see that the image is bound to the window and keeps a width of 50%. As you all know, another very important element in websites is navigation links, also known as hyperlinks. The way we make a link is by using the A tag. The link's destination goes in the href attribute. For example, href equals google.com. Between the opening and closing tags, we put the text that we want to turn into a link. You can even use an image instead of text. When the user clicks on it, the target website will open. Let's say what we have and refresh. So if we click, then it's not opening because we need to indicate HTTP here, since it's on the web, whereas the HTML file is on the local computer. Once again, there are certain variations, such as if we want the link to open in the same tab or in a new tab. I'm leaving it to you to look more into it. A good website to get started is w3schools.com. This concludes the first episode about HTML. In the next episode, we'll be seeing how to create forms, and we'll start looking into CSS to customize the appearance of all the elements. Thanks for listening. Until next time.